Welcome back to the Titan Talk podcast. As we are now on episode 10 of the Titan Talk podcast. Didn't have an episode last week, had some issues with technical stuff, but we are back now. Episode 10. We're going to break down Titans Saints this week. Titans had their last game here at home of the 2025 season. There were some disappointing things, but there was also some really positive things to come out of this game. And I think let's start off with our three key takeaways. The first one is that Cam Ward has proved himself to all the doubters. Out of probably the five doubters he's had going into this week, he's surely have proved them wrong this week, as he's going to be the starter here for a long time here in Tennessee.
You're
Hmm.
absolutely right. I mean, he's making just unbelievable throws. Like his game decisions, his in-game decision making, it's improving as well. He's really not turning the ball over through the air. There's been a couple of fumbles that he's had throughout the season, but these are things that a rookie's going to have. And I don't think there's any quarterback in the league who wouldn't have fumbled as hard as Cam Ward got hit when he did fumble that to Chase Young this game. But other than that, Cam Ward's making the throws. He's making the decisions. There is still a little inaccuracy time to time with Cam Ward, but I think that's just one kink that's going to be ironed out as he keeps on playing and progressing.
Yeah, I want to
Oh
touch
yeah.
on that Chase Young thing. That should have not counted. Cam Ward's knee was down on that fumble or strip sack or whatever you want to call it. His knee was down. That should have not counted as a touchdown for the Saints. But we're gonna get into the questionable calls that were missed and or called by the referees in this game here in just a little bit. But what did y'all think of Cam Ward's play this week, Boston and Evan?
I thought he played pretty consistent. That fumble, like you were saying, his knee was down, and that honestly should have gone the other way. But you can't change that at this point. The some of the highlights and the just like downfield throws, just straight up downfield throws, were really impressive. Basically crossbody throw, while he's scrambling as well and running. I'm just really impressed that the techniques that he's using are his technical skills while he's throwing the ball, and just his scramble skill is actually really top notch for a rookie. That's what I'm really surprised about. He's playing with the level and maturity I think that a couple year quarterback in the league should be playing with, not a rookie. And like you said, Luke, like he still has some inaccuracies, but I think he's gonna get that ironed out pretty good as well.
And he's also able to get off some throws that I think that even some of the more experienced quarterbacks would struggle, especially like the one where he was almost laying down as he spiraled it to the receiver. That was probably one of the best clips of the year.
Yeah, I think you're
Oh
referring to
yeah.
the Tajay Spears catch. That I think, yeah, I agree. That was, dare I say, a little Mahomey there, as he threw that ball where he threw the ball. But that it's really sad that didn't count. Watching it live, it looked like his knee was off the ground. Obviously, that got overturned, and Titans lost the game the very next play after that. But if that play would have went the way that it did, and if it was counted as completed, I think there's a real chance the Titans could have forced this game to go into overtime.
And I agree. The Titans had themselves a wonderful opportunity to go down the field. Credit to their defense for stopping the Saints to get the ball back. And then Cam Moore did really everything he needed to do. It's just it's a game of inches, and it was what probably if that grass has been cut, a couple of hours earlier, then Cam Ward might still. I mean, that's the NFL. Honestly, as much as we say it's not a bad thing the Titans lose at this point, Cam Ward's showing absolute. He's a gem, and the Titans. That's just I'm ready for next season.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we're going to move into our second key takeaway of this week. I have missed calls and calls that were made that was not supposed to be called. But you really can't control that in the NFL. Referees are going to have good days and very bad days at times, which I think this was a bad day for the refs. Not There's been worse, like the Minnesota game from last year. That's the worst called game I've seen in my life. This week, it was I think you could say it was fair all the way around, but it was some really bad calls, especially there was a lot of pass interferences that was not called on the Saints that should have been called, and then we get one late in the fourth quarter that pretty much cost us the game, and they call it, and it really didn't really make much of a difference. that's what really frustrates me is when they call a penalty on us, but then they won't call that same penalty on other teams that looks worse than the one we just did.
I
Man,
agree
yeah,
with you. The officiating wasn't the best that I've saw so far, but I will say it was consistently bad, which I think is the good part about it. Yeah, I think there was a couple PIs, but for the most part, the refs really, especially during the first half, they did not throw penalties. And I'm completely okay with that. If you're going to let them play, I'm okay with letting them play. But then they sort of, I don't know if they had a conversation at halftime where they just said, all right, we got to make our money. We got to put on a show or something. But there was a lot of second half penalties. There were a lot of passing interferences that were a little light that they did call, and some that were pretty strong they didn't call. But overall, I don't think the officials necessarily directed the outcome of this game. But I will agree they were consistently bad.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
At least they're consistent.
yeah, especially during the first half penalties that you was mentioning. I don't know. It just felt like me that whenever they threw a penalty flag, that it took them 20 years to discuss what the penalty even was. They huddled up, and it looked like they was trying to discuss where they was eating lunch after the game. Like it took them years to figure out what penalty they was calling on what player. I mean, I just don't understand why it takes so long to call a false start or holding on which you know what it is when you're going into the huddle. Might be some technical stuff they have to go through and process through that, but you don't really know. But next, we're going to move into our third key takeaway, final key takeaway of this week, of the home opener week, or the home closer week. It's that Chig Okonkwo does deserve a contract to remain here on the Tennessee Titans. We've touched on that before. I know Evan has said something in the past couple of weeks that he's a really big fan of Chig Okonkwo and what he's done for the team so far. I think this is possibly one of his best played games so far this year, especially that crazy touchdown he had in the first quarter where he barreled over three guys, did a cartwheel into the end zone, scoring the first touchdown for the team this week. I think he played outstanding. What's y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, he played really good. Like that. I mean, everybody knows that play, but when he was able to break off that guy tackling him and just get back up like he had superhuman strength and then just rush it in for the touchdown. That was impressive. And he it's not like a fluke for him. You know, he's not like one of the best players out there in the receiving position, but he's genuinely he's consistent enough to I think he also deserves another contract extension for the Titans. He's a good player. I like him.
Well, me and Evan, we've disagreed a lot this season, especially about, bad wide receivers, other things, and stuff like that. But one another thing we disagreed on this season was Chigakonko. If you remember, I was a big proponent that we should have traded Chigakonko at the deadline. I think even last week I sort of said, I'm fine if we keep him, and I'm also fine if we cut Chigakonko. And I'm sort of starting to shy myself. Call it a public withdrawal of a statement if you want to. But I want to publicly walk that back because Chigakonko has changed my mind. He's got a great attitude. He acts like he wants to be here, which is something that not a lot of guys want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe him and Jeff Simmons. Like, he's not one of those guys that we're going to be saying, all right, Chig, go to the Pro Bowl. All right, Chig, go do this, go do that. It doesn't matter really. He's never going to be that guy for you. He's not going to be a Travis Kelsey, Brock Bowers, one of those elite men that are able to completely change the football game and the way it's played. But you get that guy on a tight end screen, you get that guy catching the football and running north to south down the field. He's an absolute weapon to have. And I understand he's not the greatest blocking tight end, but Travis Kelsey, he's top three tight end all time, maybe even the GOAT tight end, and he's not blocked any. So you don't necessarily, in the way the Titans play, have to be that good at blocking, especially if the Titans have Gunnar Helm. And if Chigakonkwo wants to be here, which I think is the biggest thing, if he wants to be here, we've got the money. Let's pay him.
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
Yeah.
I
See, it's all right to be wrong sometimes, Luke. We'll get you on that Restrepo thing eventually if they start starting him. I feel like that's going to be another key component that they could unlock. And if they have Restrepo and a Conquo going into next season and they make the right moves in the draft, then they might be able to get a few weapons around Ward and actually utilize him more.
Yeah,
I
this
Using
think
Xavier Restrepo as the term weapon, that might be a little exaggeration.
dare I say, given him his first nickname of his NFL career, I think he should be called Weapon X. I mean,
oh,
Yeah.
yo, that
Hot
go tough.
touch.
future all time great slot receiver for the Titans here. You heard it here first. Xavier Restrepo will be great. Yeah, retouching on what we just went over. I just want to run over Chig's stats this week: 3 catches, 55 yards, and a touchdown. He had a lot more targets than that, but like y'all said earlier, it was due to probably most of those on inaccuracy. As Cam had about a handful of deep throws he threw to Chig's way, but some of those were just throwing the ball away. Some of them were bad throws, and some of them were, I think maybe one or two of them was drops, but still, I think he proved this week and solely this week that he deserves another chance on this roster.
For sure.
I want to mention one more thing that Cam Ward has shown. I think the Titans' offensive line, I think, in my opinion, has been getting way too much credit the past couple of weeks. I think Cam Ward's buying most of this time for himself with his
Yeah.
scrambling and his ability to escape the pocket and feel the pressure coming. Yes, there was some times in this game where it looked like Cam Ward had 5 seconds to just sit back, drop back, see what he wants to do. But every single time that I noticed that Cam Ward had all this time, rarely was anybody open. And when there was people open, there was only 2 or 3 guys running routes down the field. The Titans always had an extra tight end, whether it was DMR, Gunnar Helm helping Chip. They had an extra tackle in. So it's not like the Tennessee Titans front five offensive linemen are just batting down the hatches. They're needing help and they're costing weapons down the field for Cam Ward. And I think that's a lot of times when you see Cam Ward have to throw some of those passes away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
true.
With a team around him, the plays that he's making on buying time in the pocket and just dancing around back there, and making time for receivers to go get open. Imagine, I'm just saying, and maybe in a dream scenario this would happen, but maybe if we could pick up George Pickens next year in free agency if he does not stay with Dallas, imagine what that duo is going to look like next year. Whenever Cam Ward can make time in the pocket, have that reliable target downfield, that alone could get the Titans plenty more wins next season.
I think if the
Oh my
Titans,
gosh,
they
yeah.
either got to go get a wide receiver like that out of free agency, and if they can't, like if Jerry Jones pays George Pickens, the Titans can't go get a Mike Evans, someone like that. I think the Titans are going to have to draft a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds.
I agree.
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
I'm a big fan of Chris Braslot of Tennessee and Jordan Tyson. I know he's had some injury issues in the past. I would, if we were taking a wide receiver for the first round pick, I would prefer Carnell Tate over Jordan Tyson. Carnell Tate is a monster of a receiver. He's playing behind Jeremiah Smith in OSU right now. And like I think I've already mentioned this before, but I think if we were able to get that duo, Smith and Tate, on the Titans, that would be an unstoppable dynasty going forward for this team. Well, barring
That's
the head
absolutely
coaching
no.
choice.
Yeah,
Give me Carnell Tate every day.
But there
if
is
we get to.
one more thing I want to touch on before we move into Titan of the Week. It's all these posts, all these ideas I've been seeing floating around that Tyler Shug, whatever his name is, that his name's been floating around as the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I could not disagree more with this take. Because he came in, week 8, week 7, somewhere around there. Sure, he's played well. I mean, yeah, he's playing good for a rookie with not a lot of help around him, just like another quarterback who I think should be considered before him in Offensive Rookie of the Year, like Cam Ward, over 3,000 passing yards. I think he has 17 passing touchdowns on the year, just like 6 interceptions on the year. That alone is really good for a quarterback who has no help around him, and I do not understand why his name is not in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he deserves it. His stats here, he has 3,117 passing yards so far. He has, 15 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and sacked 55 times on the year. That is crazy numbers for a rookie quarterback so far this season. Still a game to play this year. And I think before we point fingers at this Tyler guy being Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think Cam Ward should be considered way before he is.
Yeah, well, like I just don't understand what are the things that let the committee not choose Cam Ward. It's just is honestly I wonder if it's just because it's Tennessee in their record, honestly. And I think it's a lot of bias against them just because they've sucked for the past, couple of years and um but with those numbers also you don't see the maturity level that he also responds in press conferences that he responds, on and off the field in the way he acts. He's also just a really up and outstanding, outspoken guy for the right things. And I just wish people would actually be able to take that into account as well. He's just a great all around player and person off the field, and he should have the award. He should.
Yeah, couldn't
I
agree
think I'm
more.
going to disagree with you both here, especially when it comes to this Shuck and Cam Ward debate. Who do I think's a better player? Cam Ward. He showed more potential. He's a better prospect. He's better for the future of the NFL, and I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you. But when you look at the stats, and you look at from the games Tyler Shuck's played and the games Cam Ward's played, Tyler Shuck in the same amount of games is a lot better. And that's just statistically speaking. Now, yes, Shuck does have a better supporting cast around him. The Saints got a better defense. He's got a better all-around supporting cast. But nonetheless, look at the numbers. Tyler Shuck has performed better since he's been a starter than Cam Ward has. He's had an easier schedule, albeit. I'll give you credit for that. But I do not think Cam Ward's in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I just don't, in my opinion. Looking at DraftKings, he's plus 30,000. So if you want to win $30,000, put 100 on Cam Ward to win. Now, to answer, go back to Boston's point. I agree. Cam Ward has shown everything you want him to do. He's respectful. He's humble. The way he addresses the media, the way he addresses life, for the first man in, the last person out. But I don't think that's accounted for in the Offensive Rookie of the Year debate. So, as much as that means to a guy in the organization and stuff, I don't think that's going to mean anything in the Offensive Rookie of the Year debate. And I'm okay with Cam Ward not getting it. I don't think he deserves it. I don't think he should get it. But I still think Cam Ward that mentality might not be viewed in the Offensive Rookie of the Year debate, but I think it's a lot more important when you bring it into an organization. That's what Cam Ward does.
What?
Yeah, I can understand that side too.
Yeah. What? I had a question on, just to clarify, what stats are you talking about from the Saints quarterback? I'm kind of
When
confused.
we look at Tyler Shuck's touchdown passes on the season, Tyler Shuck in the games, you got to think Tyler Shuck was not the starter from day one.
Mm-hmm.
He was not the starter. I think his first game came in what? It was the October near Halloween against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it says
He
he
has
played
what,
10
nine
games.
touchdowns, five interceptions. And if you look at Cam Ward's stats, while yes, he has more yards, more touchdowns, less than more interceptions, but really doesn't matter. It's still because Cam Ward's played every single snap for the Tennessee Titans so far this season offensively. And not to mention, Tyler Shuck's rattled what, five straight wins off?
I don't know.
Yeah, that is respectable too.
I don't know. I just
Tyler
disagree
Shuck
with you there.
has, so just to mention to you, Nate, right here, Cam Ward has a little over 3,000 passing yards, and he has 15 touchdowns playing every single game. Well, Tyler Shuck has 9 touchdowns and a little over 2,000 passing yards playing not as many games, starting at Halloween. So in the time from Halloween to now, you're telling me Cam Ward's only threw 1,000 more yards through October, September, and August? That's 3 months. And Cam Ward only has 1,000 more passing yards and what, 6 more touchdown passes?
Yeah, you have to think
I just
about.
think that's what the stats come into play per game. And then you have the debate, well, do you think it's more important for a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward to play those games and earn those stats? Or is it more important just based on how many games you played?
I think
But I just think either one of them are going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think it's going to go to the Tedero McMillan.
that's
What
that's what I was about to say as well. McMillan deserves it. He's played great for the Panthers. They turned them into a contender this year, but we're just gonna have to wait and see how the whole Shoe and Ward situation goes around. You know, I agree with you partly on the stance that he has played. Yes, he's played less games, and yeah, his numbers look better. But you have to think he has miles better of a receiver core to work with Chris Olave and a couple other guys there with the Saints. Cam Ward's had his top two wide receivers go down early on in the season, and that's why you've not seen his numbers progress as it should have. I think if you had, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I think if you did have Calvin Ridley out there for the whole season, I think you're looking at now around 3,500, 3,400 passing yards for Cam Ward on the year, possibly even more with Calvin Ridley getting into a stride going into the season. I think there's just a lot to be left there with Cam Ward just to see what he looks like this season, but we'll just have to wait and see on his progression going forward in the NFL or 2026 season.
And I don't disagree with you, Nate, either. Like, I'm still believe that Cam Ward is better, but I don't think the whoever chooses these awards is going to view and look at all that stuff the same. Like, if you take a look at it, the Tennessee Titans run the football a lot more than the Saints. The Saints are getting a lot more passing attempts against a lot worse teams and worse secondaries than Cam Ward's getting. Because the Tennessee Titans have the second hardest schedule in the NFL, right behind Arizona, has of right now, and it's only going to get harder, the strength of the schedule once Jacksonville and all them play. But the committee's not going to look at that. So while I agree with both of your points in Cam Ward's what he brings to the game off the field and the argument about how Cam Ward is and Tyler Shough, it's not an unfair comparison, I agree. But I just don't think the committee on who decides that is going to agree, or they're going to look that deep into it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I totally agree with you on that. That you saying, it's definitely it should go to McMillan. If it doesn't, there's something crazy that happened there. At the beginning of this year, I thought Emeka Egbuka was going to run away with this award after the first 4 weeks, but he has fallen off with the Buccaneers so far this season. But
Yeah.
I do agree with you that McMillan does deserve to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to move into giving our picks for Titan of the Week for Week 17 against the Saints this week, and we're going to start with that right now. Now jumping back into giving our picks for Titan of the Week this week. This week, for my Titan of the Week, I'm going to go with the one and the only, the Magician Cam Ward this week, as he looked outstanding this week. I mean, just look at the numbers. He had 40 passing attempts, 21 of those which were completed, 251 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns, sacked 4 times for 23 yards. He also had 2 carries on the ground for a total of 10 rushing yards. He did have a couple of fumbles, but a lot of those you really can't point the blame on him, especially that Chase Young debacle there where his knee was down, which that shouldn't have counted. And then the other one that happened earlier in the game as well. But this week, I got Cam Ward as my Titan of the Week.
Good pick. Totally get that.
So I guess I'll go next.
There you go.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Boston. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, latency. I was gonna go with Okongwu. I thought he had a pretty stellar performance. Again, he had that highlight play that was really good. And I also think that it's gonna hopefully, if he wants to stay, and that the team is still lining up with his values, I hope that he stays. But I think I'm gonna choose him as the player, because he just put up a stellar performance, and showed that he has another spot here in Tennessee.
Both the guys are good picks. I'm going to go with Chimere DK, though. So he tied Chukwukonko in receiving yards. They both had 55 receiving yards. Chimere DK caught 4 of his 5 targets for 55 receiving yards with his long in that 38 beautiful connection Ward to DK down the middle of the field. But that's not all. He also had 1 carry for 7 yards. And listen, the Saints did not want to kick this man the ball, especially on kickoffs. His only kickoff, he returned for 33 yards, so he was 1 for 33. He broke the NFL record for rookie all-purpose yards. He's a first-team All-Pro, unanimous Pro Bowler. The man is special, and he proved it once again this week in Tennessee. He is just great at everything he does. And to mention that, the Saints did not want to kick him the football, so they kicked it into the end zone for a touchback. That is a huge deal with these new dynamic kickoff rules because instead of last season bringing it out to the 30, it's out to the 35 now. That is a 15-yard difference in what it used to be at the 20-yard line if you let it bounce in the landing zone and go in. So Chimere DK is a weapon that is giving the Titans great field position each and every time that they take the ball. And I think that's something he's going to be here for a while, and he is an absolute dog.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I respect that for sure. He did put up a good performance.
Yeah, I think for my Titan of the week, I'm gonna agree with Boston, and I think Okonkwo with the crazy cartwheel play that he had, and the stats he's been putting up, and the chemistry he's building with Cam Ward, I think is going to be vital going into the future. And I think that he definitely deserves Player of the Week, but DK was right behind him.
I agree, but that's going to wrap up our picks for Titan of the Week. Now we're going to dive in to Xavier Restrepo. Does he get elevated? I think so. He's going to make a difference on this team. Let's have this final debate to, well, unless,
For Weapon
the
X.
obvious happens. But I think he's going to really show people, especially Luke, on why he is a great NFL player and how he will stay here in Nashville for a while and be a stay around wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans.
He might stay in Nashville for a while. I don't know about that or not. He just won't be employed by the Tennessee Titans if he does. Because, look, let's let Xavier Restrepo settle the debate. If Restrepo can give me either more than 2 catches or more than 25 yards, then I will issue a public apology to Emerald Evan. But if not, Evan, I expect a public apology in the first playoff episode of the Titan Talk podcast to me, your boy, the OGLKC. That's the deal right there. If Restrepo can get either 3 catches or
Whoa, I thought you said
25
two.
yards, I'll
Yeah, you said
apologize
two.
to
You
you.
said two.
You got to apologize to me.
He got nervous.
He got nervous because he realized he had 3 the other week he played. Are you?
Yeah.
Either or, 3 catches or 25 yards. That's all I need. That's like half of what Shamari DK. That's half of what Van Jefferson usually gets. That is all I need. Is they sit here and admit to you that Restrepo is at least decent at football.
I'm just waiting for the moment where he scores a 50-yard touchdown pass from Cam Ward, and both of those get met in one play.
Xavier Restrepo, if you're listening, I do not hate you as a person. I just do not think you're good at football or benefit the Tennessee Titans in any way. And I think that it has been an unreasonable amount of hype that's been put on your name. No fault to your own, just because of your connection with Cam Ward. But here's the thing, guys, what has he done to show you that he's helped this team at all this year?
So for starters, he had the game against the Texans, I believe he was elevated, where, or maybe it wasn't. It was the game before the Seahawks he played, where he really shined. He had that missed touchdown grab where he almost made a ridiculous touchdown catch in the end zone with 2 people on him. He almost caught a helmet on this guy's head, and then well, go ahead.
Can I call a timeout? These are the highlights we're talking about Xavier Restrepo, his almost touchdown catches. Come on, guys, bring it down to reality. Nay, if these are the highlights we're talking about, a man's almost touchdown catches, that's not productive.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you sit here and you say that the Saints quarterback should be the MVP over Cam Ward because of the amount of times he has played and how he has performed. But then you don't look at the fact that they might have Restrepo on their roster, but they just don't use him. And I think that the times that they use him he's a pretty good player, and I think that you were extremely undercutting the amount of talent that he brings to the team and the chemistry that is already there with Cam Ward. And on the contingency that they actually have Restrepo on the roster, I'm going to take that bet that he will have either 25 yards or 2 catches. And we will see next week who is going to apologize to the other player
Well, I think we
person.
should.
Oh, I know what's going to happen. But look, let's quit gaslighting the stats that Xavier Restrepo has matted. First of all, he wasn't called up for a while. When he was called up, he wasn't good. Then he got hurt, and now he's back. Don't think Xavier Restrepo has added anything to this team. Yes, I was agreeing. Let's promote him. Let's see what he is. But we've saw what he is. He's not good, in my opinion. He's recorded stats in 2 games.
Yeah, he
The
hasn't had a
game against the
chance.
Seattle Seahawks, when he had 2 catches of 6 targets, 2 of 6 for 26 yards. All right, and then he had 1 catch against Jacksonville for 15 yards. He has 3 catches for 41 yards on the season in 3 games played. The guy has not been productive when he's been on the field. And I don't necessarily think if it's a knock against Cam Ward too. Nate made the point a couple of weeks ago when we were having this debate, which I think we've had every week now, but that Cam Ward looks more comfortable when Xavier Restrepo's on the field. But I want to know, we've heard all 3 opinions. Boston, I want to hear your third party opinion from a man who has 3 catches for what, 41 yards?
And the all-time
So
receiving yard leader for the College of Miami history.
So okay, but my honest opinion is what I would love to have happen is the underdog story, right? He hasn't got a huge chance to play and he gets called up onto the, the official roster to be starting in games, right? I would love for that to happen. I would love for him to start making waves in the wide receiver community and start to climb the ranks. But do I think that's realistically going to happen? Honestly, no. If it hasn't already happened, then sadly, I think the Titans front office and the coaches are gonna it's sad. I think he should have more of a chance to prove himself, but I think they're just gonna overlook him. Even do I think that should happen? No, but will it happen? Yes, that's what I don't think he'll be sadly called up. So
I respect your answer. You're a very smart man, Boston. Now back to Nate's point. Nate, I'm not a Miami fan. Xavier Restrepo's statistics at Miami mean absolutely nothing to me. I've only watched Miami highlights when they were Cam Ward plays. That's all I care about. Xavier Restrepo and his statistics at Miami honestly are meaningless. I think the only reason he has that much statistics at Miami is because he was one of those guys that puts his head down and stays in the college for a long time. And the era of transfer portal and stuff like that, he's staying there. And not taking anything away from him, it's a huge accomplishment. Michael Irvin played for Miami half of the time that Restrepo played, but still, Restrepo deserves his flowers for what he did in Miami. He's done nothing here, and I
Yet,
still don't think we can expect him to do anything here.
yet,
But we will see. We will see.
let's
Yeah,
end this.
I think that those stats in Miami, they normally wouldn't matter as much, but in the fact that they just don't use him, I think that seeing a team that uses him and him getting an all-time record versus a team that doesn't use him and they're 3 and whatever now, you might as well go throw him out there and see what happens. And I think that the more they use him, the more you're going to eat your words, Luke.
oh,
But
that is tough.
let's end this episode on one final thing. I think we should raise the stakes for this Restrepo debate being ended. We've already said both will
Ooh.
issue an apology. I have an idea. Let's
Okay.
say whoever's right or whoever's wrong. Whoever's wrong has to wear a hat from their least favorite team on the podcast for one full episode. So, Luke, who is your least favorite team in the NFL?
Undoubtedly, I said it earlier, the Baltimore Ravens. I hate them. I hate everything about them. I hate their colors. I hate their city. I hate their fans. I hate their players. I don't know if I already said this, but I hate their colors. I hate everything about them.
So, if Luke does not get it right, he will have to wear a Baltimore Ravens hat on the Titan Talk podcast. And Evan, who is your least favorite team in the NFL?
probably going to have to go with the Chiefs. The fact that they have Travis Kelsey and all of the stuff that comes with him. They have Patrick Mahomes, who he is very cocky, and I don't like his attitude when he wins versus loses, and just the energy around that team and how those players are. I like Rice, and I like some of them, but those two main players I just can't stand, so I'm gonna say the Chiefs.
So that will decide it. So if Xavier Restrepo, if he's called up as well, but if he is called up and he gets more or hits 2 catches or over 25 passing yards or receiving yards, or he hits right at 25, Luke will have to wear a Baltimore Ravens hat when it comes in
Oh.
on the Titan Talk podcast. And Evan, if he does not, Evan will have to wear a Kansas City Chiefs red hat for an episode. So we'll see who who is right there, who is wrong here after this week. But that is going to wrap things up for episode 10 of the Titan Talk podcast. You can catch us here later this week as we will have a live stream just doing random stuff, possibly a Madden game, possibly tour around the Titans fan cam this year just to see on that, and then possibly some highlights, some mock drafts. We'll have to wait and see on that, but that's going to wrap it up. And there is an announcement I want to make. In 2 weeks, not the next episode, but the next, we will have the first annual Titan Talk Awards here. It's going to be a whole episode dedicated to that, as we will have offensive rookie of the year candidates, we'll have defensive rookie of the year candidates, coach of the year, MVP, all the awards you can think of. We're going to reveal the nominees next week at the end of the podcast episode, so stay tuned for that, and we will catch y'all next time.